had to come after the fire breather. Great.
You know what scares me the most, Jemele?
Okay.
Change. I am a creature of habit. I'm the person who has to know all of the steps before I get to the final destination. I'm the person who, before I get in my car, before I press the start button on my ignition, before I throw my car in reverse, I have to know every exact move I'm about to make before I get to the place I'm supposed to go to. Before I pick up a book, I have to know how it's going to end before I read it. I know, it's weird. That's who I am. And as the Lucy to my Ethel, you know me best, and let me explain what that is. You know, Jemele is Lucille Ball in that she comes up, for the entirety of our friendship, is that she comes up with these harebrained schemes for us to be a part of, and as her devoted, kind of stupid best friend Ethel, I blindly follow her and do these things. So she knows this about me. And she also knows that I am ready to do something a little different, pause for dramatic effect. I am ready to embrace transition.
Okay, let's play a game called Make Me Feel Old. How many of you get the Lucy and Ethel reference? Okay, thank God. All right.
Good.
Woo! Well, I'm the opposite of Kelley. I love not knowing where I'm going.
Yeah.
Shout out to all my people who get lost with a GPS. That's me, all day long. And that's because I love the journey. I'm the we'll figure it out when we get there kind of person, because I believe when you embrace transition, it requires a sense of adventure.
Okay, so where do we start? How about here? Jemele, you had what was, I would imagine, every journalist's dream situation. You were broadcasting 5 nights a week in front of millions of people, and you were making a lot of money to do that, and then you decided to walk away from it all. Are you crazy?
Look, outside looking in, I would think I was crazy too.
Yeah.
Because ESPN is one of the most powerful brands in sports, not just in this country, but in the world. Now, this is my 21st year as a career sports journalist, also a way to make myself feel old.
And me too, thank you for that.
So allow me to speak sports for a minute. So in 2001, Barry Bonds set the single-season home run record with 73 home runs. He also walked, and I think this is maybe arguably a more important and impressive statistic than the 73 home runs. He walked 177 times. Now, to put that into context, it's 162 regular season games. So that means on a given night, Barry Bonds was maybe seeing 2 or 3 pitches that he could convert into home runs, and he still broke the record. So applying that to my own career and my own life, really, I think there's 2 or 3 times that we all get where we can see a pitch and hit a home run. Okay, and right now, as I'm staring at what is the next phase in my career, I'm seeing a fastball straight down the middle. So you, though, you did the opposite of what I did, all right? Kelley has re-signed a multi-year deal with ESPN, so congrats to her.
Thank you.
Where she'll continue to do her amazing work on ESPN's microsite, The Undefeated, which covers the intersection between sports, race, and culture. However, my dear Ethel has decided to embark on this journey with her best friend as we have co-founded Lodge Freeway Media. I know you guys get that reference, right? Okay. Our production company. So on one end, you're keeping one foot in a very familiar world. On the other end, you're stepping into a brand new world. So what scares you the most about this transition?
Honestly, what scares me the most about this transition is failing on the largest stage I've ever stood on before. And that's very real. You know, I have been, and I too hate to date myself, I have been an entertainment reporter for the last 20 years. And as part of that, I've been a cultural critic of this industry. I've talked about people's bodies of work, and I've talked about where their work kind of falls into the spectrum of entertainment that we're getting presented for us. And so I'm about to step into a world where I am creating some of that content, and thusly I'm putting myself up for criticism. That's scary as hell. But But, I was thinking about it, and it kind of reminds me a little bit about my transition into becoming a national entertainment reporter, which of course started here in Detroit. I was a reporter at the Detroit Free Press, and I'm sure, unfortunately, a number of us remember when a rapper in D12 named Proof was killed in Detroit. That was one of the first times I was called, it was the first time, I was called to do some national television. I had never done any television, actually, before that moment, so I didn't have a safety net. I was kind of thrust out there in front of a very large audience to do something that I felt like I knew a lot about, but I didn't have any kind of bumpers to make sure that I was staying exactly where I needed to stay. And so I'm kind of gonna think about that, I think, as we move into this new space, even though it's a large audience, and even though, unfortunately or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, my business partner is someone who, and I don't know if you know this about yourself, sometimes you trend on Twitter.
No.
I know, right?
Really?
I know.
That
and
happens.
sometimes, you get Google News updates that I get attached to. So I know there are a lot of eyeballs watching this. But the beauty is that I still get to have the stability of being a journalist and telling stories about underrepresented communities inside of Hollywood. And I'm very passionate about that, and I'm very happy that I still get to be a journalist and tell narrative stories too. And, along those lines, as journalists, we're constantly looking for the who, the what, the when, the where, and the why. And so I'm curious, at this point right now in your career, as you're about to transition, what is your why?
So my why boils down to a few very simple things. My why is my commitment to creativity. My why is my commitment to storytelling, particularly telling stories about people of color, especially women of color, as we continue to grow and rise in our voices. My why is my commitment to my God, my family, and this city, where I'm from, where I feel like raised me.
Yeah.
And, Kelley, because I'm a halfway decent journalist myself, here is sneaky reporter trick number 474, which is turning your own question back on you. So at this point in your career, what is your why?
What is my why?
And see what I did there. What
I
is your
see
why? Get it? Okay.
exactly what you did there. Thanks for that. So here's my why. I realized the other day that I actually technically started my career here in Detroit 20 years and 1 week ago. And I know, it's crazy. It's Noxzema. No, I'm kidding. So I came here because I wanted to learn from the great Larry Devine. At the time, I wanted to be a live theater critic, and I thought that he was one of the best in the business. And of course, I thought that the Detroit Free Press had one of the best feature sections in the country. So of course, when I get here, my first week, Larry takes me out to lunch, and we were talking, and he told me about his transition from his former job to his current job at the Free Press. And he told me then that he left the Miami Herald, again, love Detroit, we're all Detroitaholics here, but he left Miami to move to Detroit. And he came here because there was a burgeoning art scene and because he saw the value in the entertainment section and the feature section that was happening here in Detroit, and he wanted to be a part of that. But he told me that he made this pledge to himself when he took that job, that he was going to stop doing it when it stopped being fun. And that was probably one of the most important nuggets I think I could have ever gotten, especially as a newly minted professional journalist. I've carried that with me every day of my career, just about. This career has swing shifts. There are highs, there are lows, you have bad days, you have good days, but at the end of the day, I really love that I get to tell the types of stories that I get to tell, and I'm really excited about telling a different kind of story with you in this new venture that we're about to embark on. I'm very excited about that. So what have we learned here? What have we learned about ourselves today? I'm gonna start first.
Okay.
I think I have learned that everything is gonna be okay without knowing what's coming immediately in front of you. I'm gonna be okay even without a safety net, even without having my Google Maps on deck or my navigation in my car at the ready, with getting to whatever destination I'm supposed to get to without knowing each exact step before I get there. You know, I often talk about having an all-knowing sophomore in college. And you know what the all-knowing sophomore is, right? The all-knowing sophomore is the person who got there a year before you, and they find the newly minted freshman, and they tell them about everything they're about to experience because they've done it the year before and they know everything. They're 19 years old, but they know everything. They know which dorm halls to live in. They know which classes you can only show up for 3 times a semester. Mom and dad don't listen to this part and still 4-point the class. They can tell you everything.
And which men to avoid.
And which men to avoid and which classes have the best looking men in them. And Jemele is my all-knowing sophomore. You also have kind of, because she is my all-knowing sophomore, you also have always kind of been my advanced team. You know, I always have a really good idea about what's coming next because you still are doing them first. Respectfully, if it's okay with you, I'm gonna try my hardest not to tweet about the president. Pray for me. But I am ready to embrace transition without navigation.
Woo, woosah. Okay, so I think my forever freshman, my Ethel, what I have learned that as you transition, that it's okay sometimes to ask for directions. Just if you're talking to me, please don't use north, east, south, or west, because I still don't know where any of those are. However, it's all right sometimes to ask for help, to ask for direction. Because remember, it's really not about the destination. Yeah. The destination is just a place. It's about ultimately how you get there. Thank you. Get out of here. That was we're done.